Have you enjoyed the kindness challenge this month? Yeah, it's been kind of fun. As I was working on the talk yesterday, I was thinking about how we got this sub-theme all month of be the change. That's sort of been our sub-theme that we've talked about. And as I did that, I was realizing that how well this goes along with our science of mind treatment, treat and move your feet, taking action as part of our treatment. And also, if you've done the visioning process with us, we've got that great question, what must I become? What must I become that this vision can be made manifest through me, this higher vision than the life that I'm living now that is not happening? What do I have to become and be different to achieve that? So this goes very well with our science of mind teaching. My talk today is nothing changes if nothing changes. And this is from the book, Shaunti Feldhahn, the author. She wrote that phrase, but she still admitted freely that she stole it. So I'm admitting I stole it from her. I just think it's a great phrase. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And I believe it was Einstein who said that we cannot continue doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result, right? That's kind of a definition of crazy, I think I've heard also. Yeah, so how many times do we do this though? How many times do we continue along the same path, doing the same thing, having the same thoughts, and expecting something to be different on the other side? How many times have we made a New Year's resolution? It's coming up. Are you thinking about them? Yeah, what am I going to do this year? We certainly didn't see 2020 coming this time last year. Most of our resolutions probably went out the window. But yeah, those New Year's resolutions, and if we're lucky by March, we haven't let go of them quite yet, So we do that. I have a friend that many years ago decided that she was going to lose some weight and get healthy. And she stopped all sugar and flour for an entire year. Got really healthy, looked great, lost weight, felt wonderful. At the end of the year, she went, okay, I did it, and let it all go. And we were amazed. It's like, why would you do that? And it was because the change wasn't important enough to her to maintain that. It was hard. It was too hard. So it was interesting to witness that transformation. There are many ways that we, of course, hear the message of change in our lives. But do we actually do it? Do we actually put it into practice? Do we really, we have to ask ourselves, do we really want lasting change, or has it become something we should do? We should have more money. We should have a relationship. We should have a better job. We should be more healthy. Or would it be nice if I had more money or better health? Would it be, I wish I had? Ernest Holmes is very clear in The Science of Mind that treatment is not about wistful wishing, that it is about the belief behind it. It's one of our core principles, as it is in the teaching of Jesus, that it is done unto us as we believe. As we believe. And it is the belief in our prayer treatment that brings it into manifestation for us. And the same is true here with this idea of change. Now, the author, Shaunti, again, Feldhahn, in her Kindness Challenge says, kindness has to start somewhere before it can spread. Change starts with you. If you want a more enjoyable home or work life, if you want to feel more loved and appreciated by some other person, the first move rests entirely with you. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been in situations in the past where a conflict happens and people go to their corners and we stay in our corners. Rather than taking the step of kindness, rather than taking the first step of the peace offering and that sort of thing, we just hold that negative energy and hold that conflict. And sometimes we may feel like, well, why do I have to assume the burden of being the nice person here? Why can't they do it? Right? Unfortunately, I've witnessed this in my family with my father and his sister, and it was just an amazing silly, quite frankly, thing to witness, but they were both so stubborn that they would not hold the olive branch out. And that's sort of what she's talking about here. If we want a better relationship, we have to take action for that. We have to take action. Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living and the author of The Science of Mind, tells us, it seems as though our mental attitudes are contagious, as though we go around more or less enveloped in our mental attitudes. I always think of Pigpen when I read that. The Peanuts comic, he's always got the little cloud over him. Here is one of the keys to successful living and right relationships among people. It is only when we are whole within ourselves that we can help others. We can't pour from an empty bucket, can we? We cannot pour from an empty bucket. So as we wrap up this wonderful series on kindness this week today, I want to invite us to turn our work from our person that we've been focusing on all month inward. Turn it to ourselves. Make ourselves our person. As I thought about the steps that Shanti gave us in the book, her 3-step process we've been talking about all month, I realized that really the first step is meditation. Meditation is our most powerful spiritual practice for finding our center, finding our center of our own being, of connecting. And Ernest suggests that in his quote there, that it's only when we're whole within ourselves. And meditation is a wonderful way for us to find that wholeness that we are, that divinity that resides within each of us. When we meditate, we're going back of the ego. We're going behind the activity of mind and the part of us that needs to fix things because they're broken or they're not working or they're wrong. We're going back of that. And meditation helps us to give up our universal police badge. Anybody else have one of those? Yeah. Helps us give that up and get back of all of that and become what is called the observer. And many of our books this year that we've read in book study have talked about that idea of the observer mind, the part of us that is watching the thoughts. Have you ever watched your mind take both sides of an argument? Yeah? To justify whatever's going on? Yeah. They're very creative that way, but when we can get back of all that stuff into the observer, we begin to recognize that there's some intelligence in there that's watching all this that's not that, right? I remember when I first started meditating very seriously about 15 years ago and first discovered that feeling, that place within me, that intelligence within me that was back of all of that. I kind of fell away into no thought. And it was a very powerful moment of recognizing peace and calm and serenity like I had never experienced before because it was so quiet and so peaceful and so still there. For those of you that have a meditation practice, you know the side effects. You feel better. You feel more in balance. There's more joy. There is more peace. There's more clarity. There's a lot of there even health benefits have been proven of meditation and having a meditation practice. What happens also in meditation is it's where we begin to truly discover that wholeness that Ernest talks about and the place of unity and recognizing the unity of all that is, all that we can imagine, all that's ever been created. Every person, irrespective of race, color, creed, religion, sexuality, or anything, every person, every ant, every plant, we begin to really recognize this ultimate unity that we are from that place of meditation. So Shanti's first step in the kindness challenge is to say nothing negative to or about your person, right? Remember, we've been practicing that. Say nothing negative. Hold those negative thoughts. So let's turn that within. Do you criticize yourself? Do you hold negative thoughts about yourself? Do you berate yourself when you make a mistake? Do you judge or say bad things? Most of us do. Most of us do. At some point, have that inner critic, that negative self-talk about ourselves. And this unkindness that we have towards ourselves usually spills out, doesn't it? It usually spills out on other people when that begins to happen. How you treat others is how you treat yourself. How you treat you is how you treat others. Think about that the next time you're on a tirade in your head about yourself. Go, ooh, I don't want to really treat people like that, right? Are you kind and generous and caring? So we want to move to this place of unity, starting with ourselves. Recognizing our unity with all people and all of life, we can begin to move into that step 2 then. Because when we stop the negativity, what's left? Positivity, right? We move into the being on the positive side, and that's her step 2, is say something positive about our person and about them to someone else. Now you might think, I can't sing my own praises. That's kind of egotistical. You can do it for yourself though, can't you? You can do it for yourself. And you can take credit where credit is due. You can take credit where credit is due. I was raised, as I shared a few weeks ago, with the idea of if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, right? And we decided that was pretty good advice for us to recognize and to start moving into this positive way of thinking, particularly when we take it to heart and say something nice to ourselves. So think about that. If you can't say something nice to yourself, don't say anything to yourself, right? Stop talking to yourself. Yeah, stop talking to yourself. When we practice saying nothing negative, we begin to think more positively and speak more positively. It's just a byproduct that begins to come out. And those who have been in the science of mind for a while, you know that's the basis of our teaching, right? It's not that we ignore when the house is burning down and all those sorts of things. We don't ignore the less than perfect things that happen in our life, because they do. But we don't live there. We don't stay within that. We don't focus on that and complain about that. We go, okay, that's happened now. Now what? Right? We focus on what's next for us. Being kind and positive to us and not beating ourselves up for mistakes, but what if we recognized what we learned from those mistakes? What if we focused on what did I grow through that mistake? How am I on the other side of it? Rather than staying focused on the mistake, focus on the growth that's occurred because of it. Have you noticed that when you're beating yourself up, negativity, that you can't come up with a solution? If you're in the throes of a mistake and criticizing, we just shut down, don't we? We get so focused on the problem and the details of the problem and the minutiae of the problem that we can't find creativity. Now, my husband's not here today, and I'm not sure if he's watching or not. If he is, well, I'll have some explaining to do. But this week, I lost my wedding ring. I was in the bathroom, and I had taken it off to do my face and stuff. And as I was getting ready to leave, I went to pick it up, and it wasn't there. And I'm like, oh, where did that go? So I'm looking all over the counter and I can't find it. I'm stressing, right? I'm stressing. I've lost my ring. Did I drop it down the sink? Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out, right? And I remembered, you can't find the solution in the fear and negativity. You did a stupid thing, right? So I got calm. I said a little prayer and the thought came, check the trash can. I had accidentally picked it up inside of a tissue and thrown it away in the trash can. I know. So, I went to the trash can. Right there it was, right on top. It was fine. But it was just really a great example of this idea of when we get stressed and hyper-focused on the problem, we can't find the solution. But when we can open up and allow the creativity of spirit that we are to flow through us, the answers come. The solutions come. But we have to be open and loose and receptive to those. Thinking affirmatively about ourselves is the first step in thinking affirmatively about others. It starts at home. It starts within. Our third practice is to do something kind or generous for your person every day. Let's make this personal to us. What nice thing have you done for yourself lately? What nice thing have you done for yourself lately? How is your self-care? We're coming into the holidays. It can get busy. Pandemic. It can be shut down. Our self-care can slip a little bit if we're too busy or staying at home too much and just not really paying attention to it. The physical, mental, and emotional care that we show ourselves is really critical to our overall well-being, and a lot of times to the well-being of those around us, isn't it? I have to admit that for the last many months, since April, that my self-care has slipped a little bit, and I found myself to be a little bit out of balance. When March actually hit and things began to get topsy-turvy and turned upside down, I was on a vertical learning curve. Now, Mr. Hammer has been trying to prepare me for this for 2 years, and I kept going later, because he kept trying to get us to get on Facebook Live and all of this, and I went later. Well, now it's like, you gotta do it. So within the span of 1 week, we had to figure it out. And we did church from my home office for, 2 months? And thank goodness for these gentlemen who helped me put that all together, because I certainly could not have done it by myself, but it was a lot of extra. And then we decided to move. Okay, that's a good thing. We moved. Plus, the other business was busy as well with all of the pandemic-related items that were happening there. Plus, we couldn't go out, so I had to cook more, had to shop more. So, it was a lot of stuff. And when you begin to get those full things fall away. And in my case, it was self-care. So I've realized that, maybe I'm setting a New Year's resolution early here in November, but I realized that for me, it's time for more balance. It's more time for more self-care. It's time for a better diet, a little more exercise, perhaps. More fun. More fun. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she said, I miss fun. I just miss fun. So, how about you? Ready for some fun? Yeah. As we wrap up our series, I'm reminded again of our theme. We need to be the change that we wish to see in the world. And like all successful living, kindness starts within. All successful living starts within. Kindness starts within. And it starts with each of us being kind to ourselves first and foremost. It's like the idea of self-love. It's the same thing, really. We can't experience love with others if we can't love ourselves. And the same is true here. Kindness up to ourselves, kindness to others. Now, this month we've practiced being kind to one particular person, and I hope that you, like me, have seen that relationship change and shift and improve some. But I've also noticed it within me. I've noticed some shifts and changes within me as well in my outlook on various interactions with the general public and with everyone. When we can be kind to ourselves, as I say, it spills over. It's like loving ourselves spills over. When we're grateful, it spills over, doesn't it? It spills over and affects everybody around us. And our meditation is that foundation for that. It's the foundation for becoming the change, for allowing that change to flow through us. And then we begin to let go of those negative thoughts, that negative speech, and start focusing on the positive. Start focusing on the positive. I was at the post office this week, and I got out of the car. I had a small box, a little bitty box. And I got out of the car and came across the parking lot, and this woman walks out of the post office. And she got about 2 steps past the door, saw me, backed up, turned around, opened the door, stood behind it, and waited for me to come and walk in the post office. A little bitty box. It wasn't a big, it was a little bitty box. And I thought, wow. And I thanked her specifically for her kindness. I said, thank you for your kindness. Because, there's a polite time frame there that you hold the door for someone, and if they're across the parking lot just getting out of their car, you probably don't wait, right? She waited and held the door. And I could tell she was smiling in her eyes. So I thanked her for her kindness. And that's another side effect, benefit of this practice, is that it is part of circulation, isn't it? When we are kind, it comes back to us. When we are kind, it comes back to us. The final reminder that I have for us of our own self-care is taking good care of us so that we feel energized to be kind to others. Right? When we're tired, when we don't feel well, we're not going to be as kind to ourselves or others. So making sure we take care of ourselves. What if every day you woke up and actively said, I'm going to look for every opportunity that I can be kind to other people. Look for every opportunity. If someone needs help, hold a door, stop and help someone. Look for opportunities to be kind. Imagine how that would come back. Remember our gratitude practice? Write down the things you're grateful for. More things show up to be grateful for. Same is true with kindness. It works the same way. There really is a pay it forward sort of mindset that happens with kindness, because people who have been treated kindly feel good and want to be kind to someone else, more likely to be kind to someone else. I invite you to be that boomerang, like our story, our video that we had last week at the end of service. If you remember, the construction worker helped the kid that fell off his skateboard, and then the kid went and helped the little old lady cross the street, and then, right? It went all the way down the street until it came back to the construction worker, where the waitress gave him an ice cold glass of water on a hot day. So we saw that boomerang effect of kindness work its way down the street. So we can be that boomerang of kindness this week and watch it flow back to you as well. Well, let's wrap it up with some spiritual practice on being kind this week, and our last day of our kindness challenge is tomorrow. And I'm going to invite you, maybe finish it up tomorrow with your person, but then Tuesday, start with you. Practice at least this week being kind to you. Make you your person. If, as Diane said, if you aren't signed up for our Mindful Monday, you can sign up in the lobby, and you get an email on Monday mornings, and it's a recap of the quotes and the notes, and also the spiritual practices that we have that we're going to talk about here in a minute. You can sign up there. If you're online, you can just send me an email, and I'll add you to the list as well. All right, so number one is to continue these 3 steps of kindness, turning it within. Turning it within. Don't say anything negative to or about yourself. Do say something positive. Praise yourself every day. Find one positive thing that you can affirm about you. And the third is do a small act of kindness each day. Add some self-care every day for yourself. Every day, some little act of self-care. Number 2 is take it out into the world. Take kindness out into the world. Turn off the negative thoughts and words about anyone or anything. Right? That's a little more difficult when we begin to encapsulate everything. This is why meditation is important, to help us to open up to that. We stop complaining. We stop being negative. We stop thinking how wrong they are. Sometimes when I catch myself in these negatives, I think I shared with you all a couple of years or so ago, I got into this criticism thing where everything was critical. And I would catch myself, and I began a practice of actively being more positive. I don't know what happened. Something shifted in my brain, but I just had to work on the practice again, right? And what I would do is when I would catch myself saying something negative or critical, I'll go, that's not true. That's not true. What is true? And I would have a focused thought and turn that into some sort of an affirmation. And through a couple of weeks of that practice, I began to break that bad habit that I had of being critical and negative. Always it was, no, we can't do that. So that was one of my practices that might work for you. Second one is to practice being affirmative all week. Look around for unity. Look where there is unity. Look for the good and praise it. Make an effort to notice when someone's being kind to you. Acknowledge it. Like the lady that held the door, I could have just said thank you and gone on in, but I stopped and I said, thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your kindness. Number 3 is to look for opportunities to be kind to others every day. And again, starting your day with an intention to be kind today to everybody that you meet. To be kind to everybody that you meet. And then write them down in the evening. Or write them down throughout the day and then review them in the evening. And see where you've shown up as kindness. And then, your brain's going to start to work on, oh, that was fun. That felt good. Let's do more of that tomorrow. And you'll see even more things to be kind about. And the final one is up your meditation practice. And I still think, you all hear me say this all the time, but it is the best spiritual practice that we have for changing our thinking. It returns us to our center of being and corrects that erroneous thinking that we've developed. If you struggle with meditation, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, why? Why do I struggle with meditation? Is it time? Is it monkey chatter? I hear that a lot. Can't get rid of the monkey chatter. Is it fear? Is it fear that stops you from committing to a daily practice? Check in with yourself. Ask yourself. We've got many resources here in our bookstore and also in the lending library that you can take. We also have this flyer on the table, which is the Deepak Chopra Simple Guide to Meditation. 3 steps. 3 steps. That's all it is. So, we've got lots of resources for you to begin your meditation practice. As Shanti reminds us, kindness is contagious. But it has to start somewhere. So let it start right here. Let it start with us. I've enjoyed the challenge. I hope that you have too. And as I said, the biggest change in my thinking for me, a realization that I gathered out of this, was the unintentional ways that I was being unkind. The unintentional ways that I was being unkind. The big one that I shared with you was with one of my staff members, where I wouldn't step out from behind the computer but would do this and talk to them, basically saying, what? I don't have time for you, right? So I've begun the practice to step away and be present. It's transformed the relationship. Just one little thing like that is so valuable. And there are others. There are others. So that's my continued practice, is where am I unkind without realizing it? Where am I unkind without realizing it?
No more eye rolling.
No more eye rolling, right. No more eye rolling.
It just says, oh, you're so stupid.
Yeah, right? Another habit we can break. So kindness is a superpower. Go out and use it, folks. So it is. All right. So let's have our affirmative prayer, anchor that, and then we'll have some music, okay? Oh. Recognizing there's one infinite life. That life is God. All of that is here, present, right here, right now, in this room, and in each one of us, for we are each individualized and unique expressions of this divine wisdom and intelligence, this unconditional and unconditioned love, the God spark within each of us, this thing we call life. And through that, we are connected in the unity and the wholeness of God. And we know at the level of our beingness the truth of this. God is our source. And so recognizing that, I speak my word for and about each of us today, knowing that as we have gathered here and experienced and expressed our kindness, learned about the places we're unkind, and allow ourselves to be transformed by this practice and this teaching, we now turn it within. We turn it within so that we can be kind to ourselves and allow our light to shine forth in the world as the place where kindness shows up. To be the pebble on the pond, to allow the ripples to go forth, touch hearts, transform lives. I know for anyone that has anything on their heart today that they're seeking prayer around, whether it is a revelation that needs to occur, information, a healing, prosperity, love, health, joy, whatever it is. I know that as they lift that into their hearts, we lift it into this prayer, this high consciousness of prayer, and recognize the answer, recognize the divine flow of solution, the flow of abundance, of joy, of love, whatever the need. And I speak a word of blessing on Scottsdale Center for Spiritual Living, knowing that this is a divine idea in the mind of God, and that we are blessed as a community to be together, to be celebrating life right here, right now. And so with great joy and gladness, thanksgiving, I release this into the action of law, the activity of mind, knowing that it's done. The word spoken is the word made manifest. And we affirm that together by saying, and so it is.